Okay.
It's great to have you here. Today's webinar is all about how do you niche down, get more customers, and close more sales. And this month's webinar covers a very, very important topic. And I'm also going to say a very confusing topic, how to niche down. And once you settle in your niche, then, how do you get more customers and close more sales? But out of that equation or that sentence, the niching down is, I think, probably one of the most confusing things in business. So what I'm going to do quickly is just introduce myself and Helena. I'm just going to say hello so you can see who I am, my face. I'm not going to keep the camera on all the time because it gets confusing. So I'm Luke Futuris. Helena is with me. We renovate our business. Our business is all about helping you build a successful business, sharing that journey of building a business with you. And we focus on the entire process of building a business, not just sales, marketing, etc. All the tools, including niching, which is what today is all about, helping you find those most lucrative niches, how to find the money in those niches and follow that money trail inside those niches. And then how do you build your business from there? And that's what today is all about. So welcome. I hope you enjoy it. And I'll now get rid of the video and we can begin. Okay, so questions, please. We've got a Q&A questions at the end. Please feel free to type them in throughout as we're going, and we'll try and address all of those at the end. So why am I doing this webinar today? So let's look at any business. This is your business equation. We have a niche, we have an offer, and we have a result. And the result is your offer to market working, or is your customers getting results? So there's two things that happen inside that result. Now, I've been building business since I was 23, over 25 years, across 3 countries. And I've been helping fix business owners' business since 2008. And I see this every day. People focus on this thing here, this part only. They have a product and I sell it. And it's their offer, not what the customer wants. They're spending their time, their energy, their effort, trying to get more sales, trying to improve marketing, trying to get new leads. They redo their website. They spend a lot of money on social media, trying to get 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, be famous on Instagram. They do more sales presentations. They're then trying building a list, and the list goes on and on. And this is what they focus on. They're so focused on selling their stuff that they're so busy then spinning their tails and wearing themselves out and just getting nowhere fast. And they're spending a lot of energy getting nowhere fast. Most of the time, their offer is from their perspective. They have this great idea and they're going to sell it and they design it and they price it. And 5-10 years later, they're still struggling. Okay, they just want to sell it to anyone. They don't even know what a niche is. So they don't pay any attention to this very important piece, your niche. And then they have no analytics of output. What is actually going on when I do all this stuff? But they just keep trying around and around in this offer. So what I'm saying here, that is my offer correct? Am I offering it in the correct way? Am I offering it to the right people? These are questions that most businesses don't ask themselves. What is working? Why isn't it? Why is it working? Why isn't it? And they just keep doing this stuff each day. And they just hope their business gets better. Now, does this sound familiar? I think it does. And one of the reasons why is you have so many experts out there telling you how to make ideal customer profiles. They call it your avatars, a fancy word they love to use, or your USP, your unique selling message, based on these avatars or these ideal customers. And I think they've got it all wrong. In fact, I know they've got it all wrong. And I'm going to give you 2 examples a little later to show you exactly why this ideal stuff never ever works and why it causes so many businesses to struggle. but they all keep doing the same thing as everyone else. Every single marketing blog or course or some expert or consultant out there, they all tell you the same thing. Focus on your ideal customer. And this is wrong. This is not street smart business. This is people who write blogs to tell you how to market. And they haven't been in the streets working this all out. They're all doing the same stuff and they're copying each other. I know lots of business owners, like real business owners in the world. Some of them have $70 million companies. And I often ask them this question, so who's your ideal avatar? And they laugh at me. Like, what kind of a stupid question is that? The truth is, those people have built businesses from the ground up, from scratch, but they've been in the streets fighting the fight. They don't sit and come up with their ideal avatar on the first hit and then work backwards. They've been in the streets discovering where the money is flowing. That's why they have successful businesses. And as they go along, they find out who's buying from them the quickest and the easiest. And that's how you eventually come to what you call your real customer, which I'm going to touch on, and how it's crucial to today's webinar. But simply, all the theorists about ideal avatars and theory is really one simple thing. They don't understand how money flows in business. And today I'm going to explain exactly how money flows in business, how you tap into it, and why and how you fix all this madness that everyone else does. So here's what we're going to be doing in today's webinar. I'm going to show you how to find lucrative red hot niches from your broader niche that your business is currently in. How to use the shift and sift method to move your business into what I call these sweet spots where the cash is flowing. I'm going to show you a 3-step process to stand out in a cluttered market and become the business customers want to buy from. How to discover your hot pots, the customers who want to buy from you the quickest and the easiest. And then I've got 2 bonuses for you. How to design your products and services so that you find out the customers who buy from you the quickest and the easiest. And then I'm going to show you the 1-page plan of how you stick this all together. So this is an updated version or a different version to the ones in my books that maybe some of you have purchased. And so this 1-page plan, you can actually take what I'm showing you today and put it into practice in the real world. And at the end, your Q&A, as I mentioned, please type all your questions in and we'll get to those at the end. So how do you find red hot lucrative niches? Well, let's start at the beginning. That's a great place to start. First of all, let's look at what is a niche. And a niche, all a niche is, it's a group of people who cluster together with similar pains and desires. And this is all we are concerned with. This is the source of money flow. Not how old your granny is, what color is her hair, what time does she eat her soup, how much money does she give her kids on Sunday, and how much teeth does she have. The usual avatar rubbish we hear all day to try and market. This is the source of money. This is all we're worried about, right? And when we work this out, well, this is how money starts to flow into your business. So what we want to do is we want to drill into your large, broad niche, which is where most people sit, or they have a niche that's just got no money in it, or they don't understand the pains and desires. Those are common niche problems. And so what we want to find out as we drill into this big niche is our customers' deepest pains and their most powerful desires. And the more pain your niche is in and the more powerful their desire is, the more lucrative that niche is. In other words, there's more money flowing in that niche. So how do we drill down or niche down? Well, we break up the large niche as such into smaller clusters, or what I refer to as your pots, different pots inside your big niche. And then what we do for each pot inside that big cluster, we have deeper pains and desires. Excuse me. And for every pain and desire, well, there's solutions. And our job is to provide those solutions. And the more desperate they are to get rid of their pain or reach their desire, the more accurate your solution is, the easier your business builds and the quicker it builds and the more money you make. Now, the ones with the deepest pains and the most powerful desires out of all these people and all these groups is what I call your hot pot. This is the customers who are going to buy from you the quickest, give you the cash the quickest. This is your most lucrative niche out of that big, broad niche. As I said, these customers is where the money is flowing the easiest. This is where you want to be. This is very, very different to who's my perfect avatar and then trying to sell your product and service to them. You have no idea who your perfect avatar is, who's actually going to pay you the money. They may have all the money, but that doesn't mean they're going to give it to you. Your hot pot is where the money is flowing, and this is where you want to be. You follow the money. Most businesses just don't know about this, and that's why they struggle. So let's go through some examples to demonstrate this. Let's start off with a niche, sick men. I think we can agree that's a pretty broad niche. And what we want to do is we want to break this niche down into smaller niches. And of course, we want to find the levels of pain and desires inside these niches and see which has got the biggest pain, the most desires, so that which one becomes our hot pot. So let's take an example. Let's start off with men with headaches. So that's obviously a cluster or a pot inside 6 men. And we look at 3 things. What is their pain or problem? What scale is that? What is their desired outcome and scale? And what I call, let's look at the money flow scale. So men with headaches, what is their pain or problem scale? Probably 3 out of 10. How desperately do they want to fix a headache? Probably 4 out of 10. Is there much money trying to sell someone a headache tablet? Probably not. 3 to 4. Let's take another example. Men with gout. So what is their pain problem scale? So that's obviously a bit more severe than a headache. So they're in pain, they've got a problem. What is their desired outcome to get that fixed? Probably around 6. So what is the scale of money? How desperately would they pay someone to fix the problem to get the desired outcome? Probably 5 to 6. I would say that's more of a desire than if you just got a headache. Now I'm going to give you another funny example. Men with penile disorder. So now we got Floppy Joe here on the right, and he's got a netball team coming over on Saturday night. He's got a serious problem, right? He's got probably an 8 to 10. What is his desired outcome to get this fixed? That's a 9 to 10. And so on a money flow scale to get this problem sorted out, that's probably an 8 to 10. Now, that's a funny example, but I'm trying to illustrate a point of how inside a big niche, you can start to drill down and understand your niche is based on these 3 simple things. And this stuff works. It's not all this fancy rubbish. It really, really does work. And all you are concerned about in your niches is finding a Floppy Joe here. This is who you are trying to find, who's going to pay you the quickest and easiest. That is all you are concerned about. You do not need to know all this other stuff. Now, where does the dude live? What color are his socks? What color funny hat does he wear? All you're worried about is this. And this is how simple niching is. And this is how you niche down from your original idea or your big, broad niche. And you simply follow to where the money is going to position your business. Now, really, really important. Your niches, you do not have to have money to pay you. When I say lucrative niche, when I say lucrative, I mean people are going to pay you money the quickest and easiest. It doesn't mean there has to be people with money in those niches. Now, let me explain the difference. And this is where all this ideal avatar rubbish falls on its head. Right now in today's market, young girls, 16, I think 20 to 28 years old is a mega niche. I'm working in the anti-aging industry with a couple of clients. These young girls all want to look like Queen Madala on Instagram. They have eyelashes that cost $300. They got the pumped up boobs that cost $7,000. They got lip enhancers, fake tans that they do every 2 weeks for $200. butt implants that cost 7, 8 grand, whatever, false nails, fancy handbags, something 2 grand. So their average cost for looking like Queen Madonna on Instagram is around about $10,000 to $25,000. I know it's absolute madness, but that's not our problem. This is the truth. This is a lucrative niche. These girls don't have this kind of money. They do whatever it takes. They go into debt, credit card, they work 25 jobs, whatever, to have this deep, deep desire of theirs to look like someone else on Instagram. This is the big driver. Somehow they get that money. It's not your job to worry about how your customers get their money or if they have no money. This is not your job. Your job is to sell them something they want, what they really, really want. Because if you don't, your competition are going to sell to them. And then when this happens, you are there like Waldo, sitting on the fence, wondering what happened and watching this cash walk past your window into your competitor's bank account. That's the truth. It's not about you and what you think. It's about your real customers, not your ideal customers. And your real customers, who and where do they want to hand over their cash to? It's either you or your competition. Who's doing the smarter job? No one cares what you think. When customers hand over their money to you, they want something for them. Which brings me to a very another important point about how money flows. The difference between want and need. And the difference between ideal and real customers. I've touched on this several times already, because this is like the pinnacle of what niching is all about. The money is in the want, never ever the need. People buy something because they want something, not because they need something. Ideal customers are people that you want to sell to. Real customers are people who actually hand you the money. This is a big difference. This is understanding how money flows. And this is how you can make easy money in business. And in case you're thinking, I'm making this all up to sound clever, I'm going to give you 2 real examples of where trying to create an ideal avatar for your perfect customer just doesn't work. And very simply, you are not your customer. You can't guess on behalf of your customer. You will get it wrong every time. And this is the mistake. All starts with this ideal avatar rubbish and simply not following where the money is naturally flowing. So let's take an example. So this is one of the very first business clubs I used to run here on the Gold Coast. This was the first club I ever ran many years ago. This was at the Burley Heads, one of the restaurants there. And in this picture, there's some quite, I wouldn't say famous people. People have been with me a long time. There's John Gemmell, one of my business coaches, has been with me for 12 years. Tony Bloom, who you may have seen on my interviews, on my websites. He now runs a $100,000 business a year, passive income. He's been with me since the beginning. Steve, the plumber, who learned to do joint ventures, getting off the tools. And what we see is a guy called Vince. Now, Vince owned a hospitality company. It was focused on finance, selling finance solutions to the hospitality industry. He came to a couple of these events, and we had workbooks and notebooks, pretty much the stuff I'm teaching you guys now, except it's all online now. But back then, the guys would come, they'd do their workbooks and go back and try and build their businesses. And Vince was so impressed by the structure and all the workbooks, he came to me and said, can we put this in the system into restaurants? Because, there's a 96% failure of restaurants, and of the 4% who actually make it, very few actually make money. So I said, of course, we can adapt the system to any business. So let's give it a go. So what he did was he went to the Queensland Catering Association, which is the biggest association here in Queensland. They got at that time, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 members. We presented this system to help go through a restaurant and make them profitable, in the whole story. They loved it. They endorsed it. They promoted it to the whole database. They did a big launch, and we just thought, this is going to be absolutely the best thing that's hit this earth. And what happened? Nothing happened. We didn't even sell one. And the reason why is because in the restaurant industry, they desperately needed the solution. They were failing and going bankrupt, but they didn't want it. They didn't think they needed it. So there's this a classic story of who is your ideal customer of, you know, restaurants and whatever it is. Well, none of those people wanted to hand over cash, so they were not our real customers. So that Vincent just had to go focus back on finance solutions. That's all they cared about: a new stove and a new fridge and a new pizza oven. That's all they worried about. Never mind if the business is going broke. They're not interested. That's what we call a non-lucrative niche. The second example I want to show you is here. You see myself and my partner Gary. This was my first $800 I ever spent in my business. We had to put this was the first trade show we ever went to, and you can see the computers from Star Trek now. But that's what we used. And this little thing here was our point of sale system, trying to help businesses have customized software to improve their businesses. This was our big idea, that we were going to sell to the world and make millions. And what happened through this process was, for the first 14 to 18 months, we just didn't make any money. It was living hell. And many of you know the story, but I'm coming back to a very important point here. We tried to sell our idea to the world, and we tried and we tried and we tried and we tried, and we changed this and we changed that and we changed everything under the sun. The biggest problem was we were in a niche that just didn't have any interest in what we were trying to sell. Our product or offer was completely wrong. So what we did was we shifted and sifted our business, and I'm going to talk more about that in up and coming as we go through this webinar together. So what I said was one of the bonuses, I'm going to give you a one-page planner. So this is the first part of that. And what you see here is a step-by-step process of how you actually niche down. So this is a true example of Tony, the photographer, who used to come to my workshops. When I first met him, when you ask him, what do you do? Now he does photography. So again, that's a huge, broad niche, like sick men. So what I said, okay, well, how do you break this into those clusters or your pots? And so we sat down: school photos, family photos, food photography, pet photography, weddings, 21st, and women's boudoir. And then the next thing is, okay, well, how much pain do these people want to actually, or what is their problem with getting school photos, et cetera, et cetera. So we went through the list. Like school photos, there's not much pain there because most schools have got, they're tied up with the contract. So customers not really interested. There's not a problem for them. So their desired level to pay is not there. So the money score is zero. So that's not a good niche for him to be in as just a general photographer. Family photos, yes, there was a pain to try and get the right person, this and that, the desire level a bit higher. But again, this is not such a big urgency. They really, really want it, but are they prepared to pay for it? Well, sometimes maybe. Food photography, again, with the restaurant industry, not really. There's just no money there. Pets was one thing that was emerging. Pictures of your dogs and cats and parrots and squirrels. Do people really want that? Not really. There's a couple of people. So again, that's not a really good niche. Weddings and 21st, well, again, this is where things start to pick up. People want a good wedding photographer. They want a great 21st photographer. They don't want anything stuffed up on these big special days. So the desire to have something more suddenly shoots up. They want a reputable photographer, an expert in the field, blah, blah, blah. So what is the money score? Well, that goes up. Of course, there's usually more competition. You always hear me say this. Wherever there's generally lucrative niches, there's lots more competition. That's where you've got to stand out, which we're coming to. So this was looking pretty healthy. And then what he said to me, and this is what you call following where the money goes, and you're going to see how you land up with this by simply listening to his customers. What happened with Tony? When he was selling all the stuff, he found that, particularly in the family environment, he was trying to pitch his family portraits and all this. The wife was usually the decision maker for this, the lady in the house. So yeah, well, I really do. I've got to get around to doing it, but next month, and money's tight, and my husband's overseas, and all the stories and carry on. But what they said was, when Tony said, well, I also do women's like glamour photos, the boudoir, which, is these pictures that make ladies look beautiful in the lingerie and roses and whatever they have. They suddenly said, oh my God, you know what? I think I'll buy that. So all the excuse of money and husbands and all the other story went out the window. Why? Because he had found the sweet spot. When you find the sweet spot, money just happens. And so what happened, his business went from the struggling for I think it was 8 years. He was just not making money. We went through the simple exercise together, and there was the money. And then what happened was, in these women's boudoir, they got these beautiful photographs of them that they were very proud. They went roaring around, showing everybody, the husband, the kids, and then the kids and husband say, well, that's nice, but what about us? So then he went back and did family photographs. So that's a true story, but it's a very powerful story. And it just shows you how simple it is if you just follow the process. Now, another example is my business. That when I showed you when we first started off, we eventually shifted and sifted from selling computer programs that no one wanted, no one cared about, to listing exactly like Tony, the photographer. Oh, we don't want family portraits right now, but we've got this woman's boudoir thing, which I'm very interested in. Our customers we were selling software to kept saying, don't want your software, but can you sell us a keyboard, a computer, a printer, blah, blah, blah. So that, but just naturally following where this money was flowing, we shifted into selling computers. But inside computers, that's a huge niche. And so these were these people that started potentially buying from us. Gamers, bargain hunters, large businesses, the small home office guys, and then families. And so if you broke all this down, gamers, there's no money in gamers. They all try and jippo things and get things for free and download cheats. So that there's no money for gamers. Bargain hunters, again, these people are another pain in the ass. You don't want to, all they wanted to do was, what is their desire level? Desperate for getting the cheapest price. That's a huge driver. But what does that mean? Well, there's no money there if someone's handing you for price every 5 minutes. So you don't want, in our environment, don't want to deal with that. Large businesses, again, there wasn't our kind of thing. They wanted corporate managers, huge support. So for us, that was just not right. Small offices, though, in this time in the 1990s, this was becoming a great thing. So there was a problem people wanted to solve. They wanted a computer for the home environment. There was a big desire and money was flowing there. So that was a niche that we started to tap into. But our huge breakthrough came from families. And this just naturally happening by listening to who are customers who wanted to buy from us the quickest and easiest. And I'm going to show you all this coming up, how we did all this. But the point I'm making, what I showed you in the very first few slides, is if you're not paying attention to this piece, forget about what you're doing. You're probably just not doing the right stuff. You're talking to the wrong people, or your offer is wrong. You want to do this exercise. So this was a huge pain problem in the 90s. I'm going to explain all the pain and how I got to the pain. But they had a big problem they wanted to solve. They wanted a solution that suited families. And their desire to get it was huge, because computers in the 90s was a big expense. It wasn't like today where you just throw in the bin and buy a new one. So that was a huge problem, and they were prepared to pay for the right solution. So my hot pot, my shifting and sifting, as we did for Tony here, you land up with your hot pot from your shifting and sifting, from your large niche into your clusters or your pots to who you think you're going to target. All right. It's a very simple process. So let's keep going. Right. So as a result, what happened here? And this is how you get more customers. You simply go to where the money's flowing. You've heard me repeat this many times. So we started off in that trade show, as I showed you, with $800, and nothing happened until we shifted and sifted, and we found where families were shopping. This was our first little shop. It didn't look like this in the beginning. And we started selling bundled solutions, which you see. I'm going to take you to this in a sec, which is part of your offer. And this business really started to take off. and we did $1 million in our second year. This is after struggling for 18 months. So this huge surge came off in the last 6 months because we finally had landed in that sweet spot. And then for the next 5 years, well, that grew to a $12 million business. That was just massive explosion. I'm going to take you through the entire process in a sec. So let's just stop for a second here. And let's just see, what are we actually looking at here? We are only talking about the niche right now. In the equation I showed you right in the beginning, we got your offer that we want to offer to your niche once you found the right niche. And then we come to your result where we analyze everything. And I'm going to show you how you do that in your workshop later. Now this is the problem with traditional marketing that everyone out there is doing. And it's the same stuff copied over and over and again. It just doesn't work. Most people are out there designing websites, sales pitches, the fanciest office, the new iPhone, marketing campaigns, they're doing Facebook ads. It's all a complete waste of time if you're fishing to a pond that has no fish in it. No one is going to buy it from you, no one. And this is why you have to get your niche right in your business first before you do anything else. So, Eleanor, are there any questions at the moment before I continue?
No, not yet. No questions just as yet.
All right, so let me carry on. So let's take a look now at mastering your niche. Now, this is not as complicated as you may think. If you want to master your niche, which is what you really want to be doing in your business, then this is what you have to do. And again, I'll just reiterate, before you try and change your website and have a team talk and do a joint venture or get onto social media, you are all wasting your time if you do that. Your goal, okay, your goal is to find the desire of your niche. This has to be a relentless pursuit. It can't be something that you sit down over a cup of coffee and think about it. This is what you need to be doing right now, nothing else. Then, again, this process must start right away. And it doesn't matter if you're brand new to business or you've been going for 15 years. I know people, I work with people who are going for 10 or 15 years in a business, and I can't believe it. They still don't know their niche. They'll tell me who their ideal customer is. And then I say, well, are these ideal people buying from you? And of course they say no. I say, well, you got a serious problem in your business. That's why you're struggling. So you cannot discover your perfect niche, your perfect offer, and your perfect outcome sitting at your desk fiddling with your mouse. You have to get out there and start getting results. And when I say results, I mean you have to test your offer in your niche. Do you need to shift and sift? Is my offer right or is it wrong? Am I talking to the right people? This is a relentless pursuit. This is your goal in business. Eventually it comes right. But if you're struggling with cash flow, I can't get customers, my adverts suck, my sales pitches don't work, you've got to get out there in the streets and you've got to hustle. I know there's this big thing in the world today. Become an internet marketer. You sit on your cushion with your laptop and you make millions, and you just type a few things in a blog post and Instagram and the money just roars in the door. I've never met anyone who's done that in my life. These guys who are these wizards who make big money, they have hustled and they have spent probably hundreds of thousands and years getting the niche and formulas and offers and that right. Then they're presented to you. You can do this in 10 minutes. It's absolute rubbish. We all know this. You've got to fix your niche first. And again, I keep stressing the same point. This is a relentless pursuit. You need to become the observer of where the cash is flowing. And again, you've heard me say this 50 times so far. This is very different to focusing all your attention, your marketing, websites, and campaigns on, I'm targeting my ideal customer and what color socks do they wear. The next thing is a warning, because I see this so often, what I call niche jumpers. You have to have stickability in any business. No research, no analysis on outcome on offer. This isn't working, this niche sucks, and off they bounce to the next one, and this one sucks, and off they go and go and go. They're not following that first equation that I showed you in the first instance. If you truly want to be successful in business, please just follow this advice. I've been doing this for 25 years. Do this process I'm telling you. Settle on your first hot pot. All right, I'm saying settle. I'm not saying this is the utopia. This is your starting point. Follow the process that we're learning today. We still got a lot to go. And you will see magic start to happen. I'm not saying it's easy, but if you follow the process, at least you know you're going down the right way. You're not veering off into the cliff or drowning in the river. There is no other way to do this. And the way you do this is you've got to do research. You cannot guess. I think guessing is, it's like the biggest flaw or the reason for failure. Most people don't do research. And again, I speak to people who are struggling. And I said, have you done these few questions? Or I have a complete research process, a proper process. They haven't done this in 15 years. Like, are you mad? I just don't get it. So how do you do research? Well, you do surveys, online and offline. All right. And online is a big thing too. You can't sit on your iPad and do a survey. You've got to get out in the streets and ask your customers. When I've set up my international distribution business, one of the first things I did was I took a clipboard and I went into the city in Auckland where I lived at the time. And I went and saw for 2 weeks all the retailers who sold competitor products. And I asked the manager, can I stand in your store, interview your customers? Because I actually got a meeting with your head office in a few weeks to present this thing, which I did. And I surveyed customers' shopping behaviors on how they bought ink cartridges and how they got frustrated and what competition we're doing. In other words, what I was trying to do, find those deepest pain points and their most powerful desires so that then I could go and create my solution and tailor my presentations to exactly how my customers wanted to buy it. That is offline research. You can go into things like blogs, like buzzsumo.com. See what's going on in your niches. What are people writing about? What are people crying out for help with? What are they praising? YouTube is a great thing. Yes, the videos are great, but what I analyze and love to see is what are the offers for opt-ins? So opt-ins are, what are they asking you for in exchange for your email? So if you go to the big channels on YouTube and your niches, go and look for what they're asking for in return for your email, because they all are. Maybe it's a masterclass, maybe it's an ebook, maybe it's something this or the other. The reason I'm telling you to look at that is because those are compelling offers. Those words that they're using for you to give your email has hit a trigger, has hit a nerve. So look at those words they use, because they are tapping into those deep desires, those pains. They've already worked all this out. That's where you pick up all these great tips. Look at your top competitor websites. All right, top competitor. The reason I say top is because these guys have got stuff sorted out. They have spent years and hundreds of thousands of dollars all working this out. Okay. So you go to the top websites, and again, you follow the same process. Look at the copywriting, look at the opt-in offers, and all those keywords are honing in to your customers' deepest pains and desires. That's why they're the top websites. They've tapped into all the stuff I'm telling you about. Another great source is Amazon bestseller books. Just Google in your niche the best-selling books on Amazon. And once again, go and look at the cover. Look at the words, look at the copywriting that they've used to describe so that you go and buy their book. There's a reason why they're #1 bestseller. They've got all the keywords, the deep pain points that I've been telling you about. It's all there. Forums. Join Facebook forums or just Google forums that are in your niche. And inside there, go and see what people are moaning about, complaining about, or who's doing a great job, why they're doing a great job. This is all the gold you need. Now, how many businesses do what I'm telling you to do? I don't think I've ever once in my life met a person who's struggling who's ever did this process. That's the whole reason they're struggling. So most important, if you've had an existing business for many years and it sucks, doesn't work, go to your customers. your own database of customers over these years and talk to them and ask them, why are you buying from me, not someone else? What is the best product that I supply? If you've got a portfolio of 20, 30 products, there's only, you're not selling all of that stuff. You're selling 5% of that stuff. The rest is just driving you mad. What do they want to buy from you the quickest and easiest? What is the solution they desperately want? Your customers, your good customers, will tell you the truth. And so just ask them, survey them. So your own database. Now, what answers are you seeking when you do these surveys? I'm giving you pretty.
Sorry, Luke. Do you mind if I interrupt? There's just a question, and I thought it might be the perfect time to ask it because we just did the research thing. So it was an anonymous question. So
Yeah.
not clear on how to pick a niche in the health field. Could you choose tons of illnesses or general wellness? Not clear on how to start and what to think about, or I guess, or where to find. So I just wanted to pinpoint you there because we just did that research thing. I think the biggest thing for that is to do your research on your competitors, would you say, if you're just starting out and you don't have a database, because we're about to start the database side.
Okay, so look, I'll just tell you the real blunt point right up front. If you're thinking about starting a business, and I assume, I don't know if you're in a business or starting a business or have a business, it doesn't matter. If you haven't started a business yet, start somewhere. There's no right or wrong. That if you are ever going to be successful in business, and if you can't come up with your own idea, well, I don't think you should be in business, because business is about innovation. Business is about having a starting point and let's try and work through this thing. I know it sounds a bit blunt and brutal, but it's the truth. You have to start. Every business starts off at a starting point. No one just jumps to the golden ring where money is just falling all over the place. No one does that. So to answer your question in an unblunt way, I can't tell you if your general wellness or illness is the right thing. My idea for you is, what is your idea in the first place? Does it fall into, what is it, general wellness or illness? And then do the process I've told you. There is no right or wrong answer at this point. And again, I don't know if you've started a business. If you have an existing business, then follow the process I've given you. Start off with your big, broad niche and break it down. If you're brand new, you don't know what to do, choose something. Like if you take Tony the photographer or my sick men example, put headaches and gout and whatever. If you do both scenarios, take, what is it, illnesses?
Yeah, so illness, tons of illnesses or general wellness to choose from. So yeah, there is lots of stuff in general health, but yeah, just choosing one.
Again, that is illnesses. I don't know. Make a list under illnesses, make a list under general wellness. But what is your heart telling you? What is your idea? You must have some idea to start a business. That's why you're on this call, right? Take what your inner demon is telling you. You'll release your dragon on something, and then go for it. I mean, follow the process. That's all I can say. There's no secret. There's no golden thing that this is the perfect niche from day one. I'm actually coming to how you do this in a workshop, but I hope that's answered it. And I don't think there's any other way to answer that. So back to where I was. What answers are you seeking? And the answer is the truth. All right. That's what you want, not what you're telling yourself, the truth of what is going on. You want to know your customers' problems, fears, pain, frustrations, and desired outcomes. The truth, not what you think. Okay, there's a big, big difference, and this is where all the problems start. You need to become your customer. Okay, is that really clear? Because that is, I think this is the most powerful piece in business ever, is this first piece. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard because it's not something tangible like making a nice little product and put a bow on it, or your website, which is nice and pretty. This stuff is sort of intangible, but you have to do the process. So let's look now at understanding how do you make money in your niche. So now that I've shown you a process of how you get into this niche, your lucrative niches where the money's flowing. That's the first part. Now, how do you actually make money in this now? And just before I get onto that, I hope this session has motivated you to really focus on what I've just said. Like if you can take one thing away from this webinar, because if you don't get that first piece right, nothing is going to happen. I absolutely promise you that. So let's just look at a niching. Why do you have a niche? Because if you try and chase 2 rabbits, you catch none. Let's look at the specialist idea. I'm coming to how you make money. So let's say you want a great steak. So do you go to the takeaway on the corner that sells everything from a fried duck egg to, toasted sandwiches, and then do a $3.50 steak on a Friday night? Or do you go to a specialist steakhouse where you pay $100 for Wagyu with a marble score of 7+? Who would you go to? You go to the specialist, of course, and you're quite happy to pay $100 for this fancy steak. It's Wagyu score 7, blah, blah, as opposed to $3.50 from the takeaway. The same thing with the GP and the heart surgeon. If you have got heart trouble, do you go to the doctor who, fixes everything from bald knees to sore ears? Or do you go to the surgeon? Of course you go to the surgeon, but what does the surgeon charge you? $350 an hour, whatever they charge. Where the GP, you get for $25 an hour, whatever they charge. This is how money is in the niche. If you're the specialist, you charge more because you focus and you're an expert. But the world has got to know you're an expert. And the only reason you do that is you start by focusing on it. So like I say, you can charge way more for being an expert. And if you focus on just being like the steak dude, and all your adverts and marketing collateral is all about your incredible Wagyu steaks, 7 score, best on the market, best by the globe, all these things that make you the specialist in your steak, of course, customers are going to naturally gravitate to you. This is how you get more customers without selling. And this is how you stand out. And as I said, this is how it's easier to market and to sell to. So let's take a quick summary of the niching down now. You start with your large niche. So the person who asked the question earlier, whatever you choose or whatever niche you're in, break it down into smaller pots. Become obsessed with your customers, their pain, frustrations, and their deepest desires. And then you simply follow the money. You shift and sift to your hot pot. Now, again, I'm going to say this again. You cannot do this on a spreadsheet and then write down the stuff and work out your golden pot, hot pot, because you did a spreadsheet. I hope this sinks home because I've been doing this for a long time. And when people submit and I work with people, they send a spreadsheet to me and say, well, I've been going with this for 1.5 days and I haven't found my hot pot yet. I can't help you. You have to follow the process. There is no other way. So, and you have to know your customers better than your competition, because this is how you stand out. This has become how you become a true expert. Can you see this has got nothing to do with marketing and selling at this point? We haven't even got to the other fancy business stuff that everyone tells you have to do. So now that you're correctly positioned in a red hot niche where you know the cash is flowing, your next step is now standing out in that busy niche. In that niche, you have to stand out, otherwise you're going to get crushed. So let's take a look at your business equation. You've got your customer's current situation, which I've explained in detail. You've got the desired situation, which I've explained in detail. So your job now is to bridge the gap. You show them how they get from there to there. This is your second goal in business. This is how you go, and this is what you call bridging your offer. This is now on your offer. Your product or service you're selling as a solution of how you get someone from there to there. That's your goal. Now that you've got all the right information, suddenly this becomes a lot clearer in your head. And these are very, very important words that I'm telling you. A bridge to get them from here to here. Customers don't care about your thing, your product, your service, and whatever the hell you call it. All they're interested in is how do I get from there to there? And if your messaging doesn't convey that, doesn't matter how good your product or service is, how much research and whatever you've done to promote it, if you don't get that message right, nothing's going to sell. So hopefully you start to see clearly now how businesses who are struggling to sell, get customers, make real money, they're out there selling their products that they think is marvelous to people who are not really interested. And what I'm showing you is street smart, practical stuff to get more customers without selling. And how do you sell more stuff to them without selling? That's just what you have to do. So let's just drill a little deeper now. How do you stand out and sell more than competition? Well, there's two things. You have to create an X factor. So to stand out, you have to create an X factor. Yeah, it's often referred to as your USP or unique selling point. I like to call it your X factor. And then how do you sell more than anyone else? Those are the two questions that we're going to answer in this next session. And what is the answer? I've touched on it already. Your message needs to resonate. And the only way you can do this is by doing what I just told you, the first section. You need to sing a song that your customers really want to hear. You've got to sing a tune that they want to hear, not what you want to sing to them. So here's another great example that I found. So it was of a swimming coach. I don't have his name because this somehow landed up and I can't reference it, but it's not mine, it's someone else's. But it really reflects what I've been saying about a resonating message. I'm more interested in helping someone get over their fear of water and then teaching them to swim well rather than focus on stroke correction. So what most people would do in selling swimming lessons is, we're going to give your kid the best breaststroke and foot flap strokes and all these things, whatever kids do to be a great swimmer. Well, really what this coach has tapped into is parents don't want their kids to have a fear. They don't want them to drown. They want them to swim well. They couldn't care less if their breaststroke's better than their arm stroke, whatever they do. This is someone who really knows how to resonate a message. And the only way he's known that is because he deeply knows what his parents, the parents' fears or pain is or deepest desire of kids. It's not the stroke correction, which is what most people do in their businesses. They focus on the wrong part, not on the message resonating. All right, so let's just take a look now at the second part. And so we continue with the one-page plan. So flowing on, this is the second part. And so if we go back to my example of computers, I landed up with my hotpot of families, which I've shown you. And we move families now to the next section of the plan. And so what is families' deepest fears and problems? What I'm telling you now is really important. Please pay attention to these words because I'm going to show you how this became a $12 million business by doing the simple process, nothing else. Tech phobia in the 90s, it was like Star Trek landed on Earth with all these gadgets and gizmos. So these families were sold stuff that they didn't want because they didn't understand what they were buying. Computers were really expensive in the early 90s. Most of them couldn't afford the finance deposit at the time in South Africa. There was a 35% upfront deposit, which was out of most people's reach. It was just impossible. And there was no after-sales support. So their powerful desires from their fears and problems, what they really wanted was they were dead scared of being ripped off. It was a big expense. They wanted a family purchasing decision. This was a huge one, right? They wanted the family to be involved in the decision, not the dad or the mom independent. They wanted the kids involved. This was huge. And they wanted to shop on weekends. And they wanted to view displays because they didn't know what megahertz and gigaroms and processors and all this when someone's explaining. They actually wanted to see the computer operating because this was brand new to them. And they want to plug and play. Now, this is taken for granted today. Everything's plug and play. In the early 90s, you had Windows 3.1 and a mouse and a sound card and a CD-ROM. All that stuff, software, you had to buy, go home and put this together. Can you imagine the fiasco that went on there? It was a disaster. what was going on with these people trying to put all this stuff together. So the next piece I want to introduce to you is customer frustrations, because this is how you are starting to find the gaps, and this is how you stand out. So what were competition doing wrong in the market? There was not catering. For pieces, the three-step process I promised you in the emails. Well, these competition had intimidating geek talk. They talked way over the heads of a family. So again, this was tech phobia, and am I getting ripped off? This was a big problem. The competitors at that time were trading Monday to Friday. What did our customers want? They really wanted to shop on weekends because it was a family purchasing decision. There was no payment plans. This was a joint venture I had to set up. That's a story for another time, joint venturing. But that's how it broke through. Individual components. So again, what I said, there's no plug and play. You had to go home with all this stuff and install it yourself. And this was another huge thing. You went and you chose your computer from these stores, they weren't stores, like garages in those days. And you ordered something, you had to wait a week, 3 weeks, while they then built your computer for you. Okay, that was not what people wanted. So please remember this very carefully now as I take you through to the next page. How do you essentially what your customers want, which was the second bonus I promised you. So here were my adverts. And let me take you through them. Family, family, family was my heading for all my products and services. Sorry, my products. Plug in and go. Remember that? No deposit, easy finance. No deposit, easy finance. Family, family. 7 days a week. I didn't make all this up. What I did was I plugged the gaps. So my X factor became your family computer store, 7 days a week. That is a killer X factor, how I stood out in this hugely competitive niche by simply doing this process. Again, this didn't happen in 5 minutes. I didn't sit down at the table and have a cup of coffee and write this out and this happened. This took, 2.5 years or 3 years to figure this all out. And eventually, when obviously the more I did it, the better I got it. And that's why the business kept going up and up and up, because I just became relentless on what I'm telling you guys, on focusing on, and not all the rubbish you hear out there, what you should be doing for your marketing. So let's quickly now look at what we're coming up to is the result. So we've had the niche. We talked about your offer. Now we need to look at the result, which is the next piece I'm coming on to.
Luke, there's just a question onto that other one that we did before.
Okay.
Don't know if you want to wait till the end. Would you like me to give it to you now?
Let's wait until the end.
Okay.
Let's wait until the end. All right. So this is the power of selling without selling. All right. So what I've done, the reason this particular thing, the multimedia family PC, I sold over $10 million of that. Okay, and I haven't got to the selling part yet. This was because I've worked at my niche and I worked my messaging to my niche. So my customers came to me. And if you get this right, your customers will come to you because they are looking desperately for solutions to help them. And if you haven't got the steps that I'm telling you, you're missing the mark. Your message is not resonating. You're talking to the people in the wrong niches. When you get this right, and again, it's a work in progress. I'm not saying it's easy. But when this thing all comes together, and if you stick to this process, it will happen. You ask any, I'm talking about real successful people in business, not all these clowns on Facebook roaring around in their Ferraris, pretending in their Photoshop style. I'm talking about, you talk to business owners who've really made it in business. They'll tell you exactly what I'm telling you now because it's street smart. It's real stuff. So I wanted to show you this picture here because this is what you call the result, the final outcome, the delivery of your solution, which is the next piece coming in, the final piece. We started in that tiny shop I showed you earlier. This was one of my superstores. I had 2 of these and I had other smaller stores. But what I did was I designed this whole thing around those pain points on this thing right here. Everything that went on in there is integrated into my offer. This was my offer. So I had desks with friendly salespeople. You sat down and you could discuss your purchase. It wasn't freaked out geek stuff, you know, freaking customers out. You can't see it here, but in the background there, sort of there, that's, I had an internet cafe. It was the first one in South Africa inside a superstore. And I had coffee there. So what, if you had a big deal going on, they would bring coffee to the table, the customers would sit down as a family environment. And I had everything on display. I had displays everywhere in the store so people could see exactly, you can see the big printer displays all there. This is what you call setting up your offer. This is, you know, this is everything my customers were asking for, and this is why this became a $12 million business. This is the lines at some of our stores when we ran promotions. Again, this is, does your message resonate with your customer? This is your goal. And this is, you know, this is a result in one of the other stores. You can see the displays at a huge wall of all the displays where people can see things. All I did was just listen to my customer. And this is another example of my distribution business. So I told you the story about me with a clipboard inside stores in the trenches doing all the work. And that business was selling ink cartridges to customers who wanted to print. But the problem, going through the templates I showed you, was it's so confusing. If you've ever bought a cartridge, you're now confusing that number is. And then you've got to try to remember your printer model. So people buy these cartridges and they're expensive, come home, try and put it in their printer, it wouldn't work, go back to the shop, scream and shout at the salesman for selling in the wrong cartridge, and then there's this big fiasco. So I just came up with a solution, putting pictures on. And so if we quickly go back to the slide, which you're all searching for, how do you plug the gaps and create an X factor? All right, that's your goal, what you want to try and find. Mine became remembering which cartridges is now so easy. Just remember your picture. Following this process, again, this didn't happen in 5 minutes. This became a $3.5 million business in less than 3 years. That was the value of the business, simply for everything I'm showing you today. So let's look at your workshop now. This is the final piece. And what does this workshop mean? It's time to get dirty, right? You can't sit looking at a spreadsheet, do this. You have to get out in the real world. If you've got an existing business, you need to get dirty with your customers. Everything, you need to find out everything that you need to know from your customers. Okay, and this is what you call your workshop. And inside your workshop, it's this ongoing thing. You've got a niche, so you've got to struggle. So you've got to start on a niche, and you can't niche jump until you're absolutely certain it is not working. Then you've got to start giving offers. And inside your offer, the most important thing I said is not your product or service, it's your messaging. And you've got to play with the messaging. And when your messaging comes right to the people in your niche, then you get a result. And you got to keep filling with this thing until you get a result. Results are two things, like I said in the first minute of this webinar. Are my customers happy with what I'm giving them? You can't sell your customers rubbish. Are you going to get a bad result? The second thing is my offer working? What is the result? And you need to keep track of that. And this is the truth about business that I think I'm probably the only one in the world that tells you this. The truth, this is not easy. The process is easy. The process is very simple. It's just not easy doing this. You've got to keep doing this and keep doing this and keep doing this and keep doing this. This is all you have to be doing in business, and you should never stop because markets change, trends change, customers' buying patterns behave. But if you ask what should you be doing in business to make money, you should be doing this, the simple equation. Keep fiddling with your offer and your messaging. Use the template I've given you and see your result. That is how business works. And you test and measure until you become successful. There is no other way. If you don't want to land up in this bush like this, then please just follow what I'm telling you. I really do know what I'm talking about. I've done this for so long and I've helped so many businesses. Most people just can't get through the stage. It becomes too hard. They don't have help, and then it just all falls apart. So why do 96% fail? Well, simply, they don't test and measure. They try this 3 times and give up and say, oh, this doesn't work. Right? You can't give up. This process works. You know it and I know it. It's whether you have the resilience and all the pieces to get through it and try. But you've got a real cracker of a formula to follow you. Or they don't follow the process. They start to take shortcuts. They get impatient. That's a big thing. It's not working. I've tried for 3 weeks, 3 months. This thing doesn't work. It works when you get it right. That's when you know you got it right. Otherwise, you got to keep going. And then they start to fudge answers. Oh, you know, too lazy, you got a sore throat, the dog's sick. I don't feel like doing my survey. So then they fudge answers and give me, like they come, people I work with. Yeah, well, this is my report. And this is basically they've guessed. Nothing's going to happen if you guess. I think I've made this absolutely crystal clear for you guys. All right. And then what they start doing is they now start to niche jump, because this one doesn't seem to work. Well, they haven't even done anything yet, and now they're jumping around. This is a recipe for disaster. You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to get overwhelmed, stressed, and this is not going to work. Try and go and do this alone with no help. You can see this is not easy, what I'm telling you, but it's the right stuff. And if you try and do this all by yourself, it's very, very difficult when things don't go wrong. And then most times while you're figuring it out, things are not going to go right. I'm telling you that. And this is where people give up. And you shouldn't be giving up, because you're actually not doing stuff wrong. You just haven't got it right yet. And this is a huge one. Last webinar session I did was all about mindset and dealing with people who shouldn't be around you, because you in business, you've got a goal, and there's a lot of hardships that come with building a business. All of us get doubt and demotivation and procrastination and uncertainty. And the only way you ever get through all that stuff is if you're surrounded by people who support and encourage you. Because business is hard enough by yourself. That's why you should never go alone. But if you've got all these wrong people around you telling you an idiot and this will never work and blah, blah, you eventually start to believe all that rubbish. So you've got to be around people who help and support you. This is this is what you have to do. So let's quickly recap on this. How do you find lucrative red hot niches? That's what we learned today. From your broad niche down into your hot pots. I showed you how to shift and sift to the sweet spots. I showed you how you find your hot pot, that is your goal. The customers who want to buy from you the quickest and the easiest. How do you stand out in the crowd? You know, in the cluttered market, and become the business customers want to buy from. I've shown you how to design your X factor products and services to match exactly what your customers really want. This way you sell way more, much quicker. And I'm showing you how you set up your workshop and the formula you need to use to get results. And then I've given you the one-page plan where you can stick all this on and you keep refining this until you get your results you want. So you have everything you need to go ahead and build yourself a great business. Tools that I don't think many other people have even heard about. So you have everything you need to go ahead and start doing these practical street smart strategies in your life today. So the big question now is, do you want to try and do this all by yourself and hope you don't land up in the bush at the end of the road, like the picture I just showed you earlier, and land up like 96% of businesses and not making it, wasting years and years of trying and tens of thousands of dollars mistake? Now, 2021 is almost here. How has 2020 gone for you? How's this year been? Do you want another year to pass and you're still in the same position? Nothing has changed, but time is still one change. Like, how badly do you really want to reach your goals? How long have you been struggling with the same old thing? And how much is it actually going to cost you to keep doing the same old thing? Or do you want some help to get it right for the first time and short circuit all the pain and costly mistakes? Now, I promised you, I'm not selling you anything, and I'm not. But I am inviting you, if you're interested, to a personal consultation with Helena or myself. You are here right now on this call because you're stuck somewhere in your business or your life or both. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And you're looking for help and solutions to get you to where you want to go. And we can help. We have solutions to help you to where you want to go. Proper solutions, real help, not all the hype and rubbish that's out there. Real practical solutions I've developed over 25 years. And this will help you get unstuck, fast track your progress, give you direction, help to reach your goals, and shave off years of trying to do this all by yourself, and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to figure out all the stuff I've just been through. And if you do this, it will create the change you want and help you where you want to go. But not every business can be fixed, and not every business owner can be helped. It's true. I've been doing this for a long time. And we want to make sure we are a right fit for each other, because we see this as a start of a journey together. And the clients who we work with, and we're very blessed and lucky to work with, we really enjoy our relationship with them, and we're very protective of them. So how does this all begin? First of all, there is no catch. I know so many of these webinars and all this, these consults, they all try and corner you and pressure you. We don't work like that. We don't need to work like that. Why? Because it doesn't work. The long-term plan, that stuff doesn't work. There's no win if you're forced into something. You get angry, we get frustrated, we both are wasting our time. This call together is, we want to get to know you, you get to know us, and is there a natural fit? This protects you from wasting your money and us wasting our time. So this is how it works. You book a one-on-one, no obligation strategy and direction call. And what happens on this call is we put your business through a 15-minute business health x-ray. And this is what it looks like. This is an incredibly powerful tool I've developed over the years. And it doesn't matter what business I can pinpoint. We ask you questions about these 8 pillars in your business, including your quality of life as an owner, that you eventually want to offload and have time. We put it through a series of questions, and this graph comes up. And what it does is it tells us your 3 biggest weaknesses right now in your business. Because right now, if you're struggling with business, you have no idea most probably where to even start or what is wrong. This takes off, it's going to take 10, 15 years off your problems. This is what we do in the first 15 minutes. We pinpoint your 3 biggest challenges. Then what we do with that? Well, I tell you what is your quickest wins based on your existing problems right now. And then we move into a 30-minute strategy session. Now, I used to do consulting for businesses, and I used to charge $1.5 grand for this. All right, because it is profound. It's all my knowledge and years of experience, and a concise thing that gives you exactly a snapshot of your business. Where does your business truly suck? And how do you fix it? And that's what happens, and you get that for free. And then at the end, we discuss options with you of how we can help you if you're interested and if we think we can help you. So this is 45 minutes that could genuinely change your life, as it is for many others. So the most precious resource we have on earth is time. Maybe you realize that, maybe you don't. And this is Burley Heads, where I live, and I covered this in depth in my last webinar, all about the mindset and how you design your pathway to get you to wherever your dream place is, or wherever you want to live, and whatever your goals of your business are, and how you overcome all the obstacles in your way. But ask yourself this one question. How much time do you still want to spend on where you're at right now? It's a simple question. And as time goes on, what is it costing you financially and emotionally to go through yet another year of the same Groundhog Day, each day not reaching your goals? So simply, do you want change? Change starts with a decision. So what's your decision? Do you want to remain stuck, continue to have your business wearing you down, thinking this time around, I'm definitely going to get it right? You know, the same story you've been telling yourself for 10 years. Or do you want change? You're tired of struggling. You want to sit back one day and smile, knowing that you turned your business into a valuable asset. You set yourself up for life. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that why you went into business in the first place? So if this is something for you, the consultation, there's an email in your inbox right now. Helena would have sent it with a link to book your one-on-one time with us. You click on the link, you book your time, and let's discover the opportunities in your business, and let's get to know each other. And for the action takers, I have a bonus for you. The first people who want to do this, I'll give you the planner so you can fill that in. I'm going to give you a private recording of the entire webinar that we did last month on how to create a mindset for success. I mean, again, for me, this piece, I don't know, anyone can cope in business or survive in business if your brain is not straight. This was a very powerful webinar I did, and I think you would really, really benefit from that if you haven't seen that. And I'm going to give you a copy of my latest book, depending on if you've bought a book or what version, and it comes with a free video training course. So that's valued at over $350. I'll give you all of this on the call, and if that's for you, then book your slot, and let's begin your brand new chapter together. So let's move now to Q&A. Okay, Helena,
Yeah.
questions?
Yeah, there's actually a couple already. So,
Okay.
so this is from the one that earlier. So there is too many patients that have a certain illness, and some have money and some don't. They are different ages. How do you choose the right ones, and why do you choose? How do you choose which ones have money and which ones don't? So how do you get a clear money flow score from the varied ages, economic groups? How do you find this information? How do you know which one's the right one?
Okay, so simply, you don't care if they have money or not. I've already explained this in the like the young girls. They have no money, so, but they still manage to come up with $25,000 to look like Dolly Parton on Instagram. They find the money. That's not your problem. You're not interested in that. What you want to find out is if the niche is lucrative. In other words, are they wanting to buy? And the way you do that is through research. There's no other simple way. You cannot guess in your head what is happening. So, sorry, Helen, are you deleting the questions there? I'm actually looking at the questions to help me answer.
No, sorry, they're just in the answered section. Sorry.
Okay, because the question is quite confusing. Like, you can't focus on where the money is. Sorry, if where the people have money or not, that's not your concern. A lucrative niche doesn't have to have people with money in. A lucrative niche is where people want to spend money regardless of how they get it. Okay, that is what you got to focus on. And the only way is you take a large niche, you got to have some idea. So if you're talking about general wellness or illness, you got to start somewhere in that niche and put down whatever, I don't know what that is, and then you break it down. There is no other way to do this. But I don't know if you book a call one-on-one with me, I can actually show you other tools of research that may help you, but it's quite difficult on this call to answer that. Okay, go to the next one.
Okay, so there is one here that says, I've been following you for a while. I've been in business for 3 years and I've been struggling and have realized that I'm in the wrong niche, but I just don't know where to start. It all seems too hard to change. What do you think I should start with first?
Well, I hope you listened to the webinar. That's a good start. If you, the thing is, if you have been in business, one of the things, if you have been in business, this is, can you still see the screen, Helena?
Yep, we can still see the screen. Yep.
Yeah. So if you've been in business, or even the other person who's anonymous about this wellness thing, you have to go through these questions and get an idea, because even if you've got an idea, your structure is probably all over the place. The great thing about it is you've got experience in the streets. If you've got a business that's been going, even if it's going for 2 weeks, I mean, if it's been going for 5 years, 10 years, there's so much gold sitting in that business, you have no idea. I mean, the people that we work with who've got businesses, we turn them around so quickly because there's just gold lying all over the place, but they don't know how to mine the stuff. They are experts in what they do, which is good. But you don't make money being an expert at being expert. You make money because you are a smart business person. So if you've got if you got an existing business and you don't know what the hell's going on in it, then book a one-on-one. And what we'll do is we'll go through this together, and your eyes will, you'll have new vision in life on your business. You'll see immediately what is wrong. And then we can tie it back to your niche and say, well, these are the problems. And we go back to the formula. So this is a pretty structured process I take you through. I don't make this up as I go. So the simple answer is, if you're struggling, this webinar is giving you a bit on clarity, then let's talk, and I'll put your business through this thing. And immediately when you say these three things, you're going to say, oh yes, but this, and this. And then that's how the conversation flows. And then we work together to find that gold. It's like I say, it's a very simple process. It's just not easy. You just got to keep going. And if you want guidance and help, well then, please, let's talk. Say there's no catch, no obligation, but I promise you, simple 15-minute conversation could change your life. It's done for many, many others. I hope that helps. Okay, next, any more?
Yeah, so if there's a lot of competition in a niche, how do I stand out if everyone is offering similar products? Shouldn't you go somewhere where there isn't so much competition?
So again, this is standard textbook rubbish. You can't, there's no money. When I say, don't get confused between a lucrative niche and a niche that has no money in it. Like I say, I keep referring to that example of the girls who want to look like, Princess Diana or whatever. You have to choose niches. Where there's money in niches, there's going to be competition, because smart business owners are doing what I'm telling you. They go to where the money is flowing. That's why they're smart. That's why they make money. The other Muppets don't do this. That's why they get stuck and they don't do it. And I get so frustrated with all these professors out there, experts, are all giving people the wrong information. You can't find niches that have no one in it, because that's where you're going to stand out. It's like the best house in the Bronx. Okay, you're going to build all your infrastructure investment in somewhere where you're going to get no return on investment. That is why you don't go to those niches. They're like deserts. You got to find, through the process I've shown you, what is wrong. And then through the deepest desires and pains, you've got to get to know your customers better than anyone else. It's that simple. There's no other way to do that. Okay, any more?
Yep. So how do you deal with a competitor who keeps copying your work and your signature elements?
Nothing. Honestly, what can you do? Like, if you're an innovator, and you are constantly putting good stuff out, they're eventually going to tire out. Okay, they can't. If someone keeps copying you, honestly, take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
there's no formula. Go and shoot them, hire assassin, or whatever, get rid of them. You can't do that. So take it as a compliment. Wow, my stuff is so good. The truth is, anyone can copy someone else's advert, website, my webinars, everything.
Yeah, we see it all the time. Yeah.
But can they actually execute on what you're doing? Now, if you're doing a good job, and if someone's pinching all your stuff, they're probably not very good ethically, morally, how they're actually going to treat all their customers. So I wouldn't worry about it. Most competitions stuff up. 96% of businesses fail. Just be obsessed with your customers and giving them exactly what they want. Look after them. Focus on that result that I talked about. Focus on your offer and focus on your niche. Forget about anyone else. Of course, pay attention to competition, what's going on, or they're doing good things that you got to be aware of. But you cannot become so obsessed that your focus is on competition, not on your customers. That's the advice I would give on that. Any more?
Yep. So this is from the earlier one. So we have a category called money flow score. Would you mind explaining that a little bit more? So should you ignore the score in the chart then, if we're ignoring if people can, if we want to know if people can spend on our product or not?
Okay. Okay. I can see what.
Yeah.
Right. The money flow score is not how much money the people have. The money flow score is how willing are they to give it to you. You understand? This is what I say about understanding how money flows. You're not worried if someone's a trillion billionaire. All you're worried about is if they are going to give you money for what you're offering them. Most people are in debt anyway. Most of the world lives in debt. So trying to find niches where someone's highly cashed up, that's like, who cares? All you're worried about is, are they going to pay you for your service or product? It's irrelevant if they got a toothbrush. If they're going to buy your stuff, they're going to buy your stuff. Okay, next.
I think there's some confusion between the money flow score and the desire level score. So how much they want to pay you.
So the desire is, their desire is how badly do they want an outcome. And let me go back to the screen. I know this can be confusing, guys. I did say in the very first line of this webinar.
Yeah, I think that's where it's important about doing as much research on your customers as it is, and truly understanding their pain points. Like there's no point in making up the pain points, going, oh, they want this solved because they're frustrated by this, but they're not really. I think that's one of the biggest things where people get stuck on, where they say, I can solve their problem, but they don't actually, that's not the problem that they want to be solved. There you go.
So I'll try and explain this, the difference. So I think money flow scale is pretty clear now. I think I've explained that enough, right? So now you're asking, is the desired outcome, how does that affect this? So
like using this as an example, so how badly does a man want a penile disorder fixed compared to a headache?
Okay, so look, I'll try and answer. I actually did cover this exact thing where I showed you an example of where there's a massive desired outcome but not much money, and I just can't find it right now. But so the basic thing is, generally these things are related, but not always. So what is the first thing is the level of pain. If someone's got a huge pain problem, then generally they've got a big desired outcome to fix. They generally, the two are linked. Here's the answer. So I told you about the restaurants. This goes back to want versus need. So the restaurant pain, these restaurateurs are in incredible pain. They desperately need a problem solved.
Process, right? Fixing a process, like if
so they're going bankrupt.
Right, yeah.
Most restaurants go out of business, right? They do. So they got an incredible pain problem, but their desire, their pain and their problem is sitting probably 8 to 9. The desired outcome, because they don't want it, is 0. If they desperately desire to have someone fix their restaurant, it'll be 8 to 10. So you can have a desired outcome of 0 with a massive problem, but people don't care about it. That's why I covered the difference between want versus need versus want. You want to focus on what people want. That's your cash flow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we've butted heads with restaurant people before. It's like, you need to fix this, but then the biggest concern is their day-to-day practice, and they just want to have like the new fridge or something like that. So
yeah, I think like I say, guys, if I'm not getting clarity with you, if you're still struggling on this concept, then please, I'm happy to talk to you on a one-on-one. I say there's no catch obligation. I'll help you through these issues. I did say this is not for the faint-hearted, but business is not for the faint-hearted. But all I can stress before we say goodbye is, please follow this process. It really does work. This is practical business stuff. It's not stuff I just put together to sound clever. It's years and years of experience teaching you guys stuff. Any more final questions? I'll take one more.
There was actually one about me. I just want, for the people who don't know me, so I've worked with Luke for a really long time. So we do consult together. We do the business strategy sides together. I focus more on the kind of the marketing, social media side of it. But we do consult together, and we've worked together for a really long time. I have a degree in business that I've been using to focus on this in here as well. So, and we've got a lot of lot of experience together in fixing businesses and helping businesses, and we've worked together on our own businesses together as a restaurant. That's how we know the restaurant pain and butting heads with other restaurant owners. So yeah, if there's anything else you guys want to know more about me, just let me know. My email is helena@ideasintobusiness.com. But yeah, we do the consulting together. Luke, there was just one more question. I think I've focused on the right niche, but I'm not sure if I've got the right product for the niche. How do I choose the right hook product?
Okay, that's a topic for another day. That's creating your sales pipeline is probably a webinar I'm going to be doing in the new year. That is a whole chapter on its own. If you book a one-on-one with me, I'll take you through that process. But that is not something I can quickly answer right now. It does go back to the core elements, of course, like your niche and your pain and problems. What is your hook, your competitor analysis? Like I've shown you, the answers are all there, and I'm happy to show you how you quickly get to that.
And there was one more question. Yes, guys, Luke and I both do the consults. We just take different days and swap shifts. So you'll be able to get either one of us. So just let us know. I've sent through the email. You should have the email to book the consultations, to book the one-on-ones. And do let us know, do let us know a little bit about yourself when you do, if you can, so we can focus a little bit more on your niches to help us get through that consultation better and get you your end results.
Fantastic. All right, guys. So here's your instructions. If you want the call, there should be an email. If you are stuck, then just simply email me at luke@ideasintobusiness.com if your email is stuck. And thanks for your time. I hope you found that useful, and I look forward to chatting with you. Okay. All the best, guys.